Hey everybody. So I'm probably going to title the video like how do we make Sett good in 2024 or best Sett build, or I don't know, something like that. For the purpose of this video, I'm probably going to title it something like that, but you know, temper your expectations here as we go through this, right? Because let's be honest, Sett isn't good. He hasn't been good in quite some time, but we can get a build that, you know, might sort of hypothetically you know, at the very least, get him the closest to viable that we can get him. And that's kind of the purpose of this video. How do we get Sett? What's the best build? Like, I guess that would be a good title, right? Like the best build. Best build doesn't mean Sett's good. It's just, you know, if you're going to play him anyway, what's the best build you could possibly do with him, right? I think that's the best way to look at it, you know. So let's look forward here. Okay, you're gonna see in front of you some Sett footage because I did actually play a game with him, a real ranked game in ranked on my main, and I did, you know, at least decently enough that I think, you know, I thought to myself, you know, this build's actually not bad. I could actually recommend this. So what did I do then? Okay, so the first thing I did is I looked at Stridebreaker and I said Stridebreaker got nerfed really badly. It did. It got nerfed pretty dang bad. It doesn't give any ability haste anymore whatsoever. There's no mythic passive with movement speed. It doesn't do damage on activation, so it doesn't help you proc up Conqueror. Its build path is like janky too. So I looked at Stridebreaker and I said, what could I do other than Stridebreaker? Well, there's one Berserker item that's obviously been doing pretty good lately, is Sundered Sky. Now, remember, does Sett use Trinity effects? Does he use Sheen effects really well? Not really, because he doesn't just sit in melee, and he doesn't just sit in melee auto-attacking people. Sundered Sky seems to be Riot's kind of response to that. This is kind of them realizing there's a lot of Berserkers that don't just sit there in melee auto-attacking people, right? So Sundered Sky only activates every 6 seconds, or, you know, if you're bursting people, like once. So it's like a good kind of bursty auto attack item, you know, perfect for bruisers, right? So I said, okay, screw it. What if I just open with Sundered Sky? Sett tends to take a lot of damage. He tends to like healing, you know, because that's good. And 15 ability haste is generally enough to kind of allow him to use his abilities. But, you know, Sett doesn't really need that much ability haste because at the end of the day, he tries to go for the one big haymaker, hence the whole mathematically correct Sett thing. So I said to myself, you know, and this is before the game, I was like, you know what if we just open with Sundered Sky and then we put that into a Trinity? It's not a Trinity, a Titanic Hydra, not Trinity. Titanic Hydra and Sundered Sky, there's a 1-2 combo. There's a decent burst on the Titanic Hydra and the Sundered Sky. There's a good amount of damage between them too, right? And then importantly, they can also split push, because remember Sett, remember how Sett mechanically, like, he does the 1-2 in his kit, but if you do an auto attack reset, it goes 1-2 1-2 1-2, right? So you go 1-2 on a turret, Q 1-2 again, a Titanic Hydra 1-2 again. Good damage on a turret. Also, if people are tanky and they're just sort of sitting in front of you, you can 1-2 1-2 1-2 on them that way as well. But it's also, it's good pushing on the minion wave, good pushing on turret, you know, just generally it allows you to kill turrets really quickly, so people generally want to come out and fight you. And then if people do come out and fight you, you get good burst on them. And then, you know, you've also got kind of that mathematically correct situation going where you're just going to end up doing a lot of damage on your W's, right? So I thought to myself, okay, I could definitely try this. And I did try it in the game, and it worked out pretty decently. The Sundered Sky opener definitely worked out well. Because you have to remember, at the end of the day, sometimes with Sett, you just have to kind of be like, okay, I'm not going to, you know, realistically, I'm not going to get into range on average, right? Like, I'm fighting a Rumble or a Callista. I mean, that's this game. I was fighting Rumble and Callista, and I said, on average, I'm just not going to get into range, right? Like, they're just going to permakite me. So why am I even trying? Like, building Stridebreaker isn't going to get me into range. I should just build for when I do get into range, and I'll build the split push to force people to come out and fight me, right? Because if they have to come out and fight me, then I can kill them. So boom, there we go. 1, 2. So third item, we went with the Sterix Gauge. Why do we go Sterix Gauge? I already did Merc Treads. Merc Treads and Sterix Gauge gives me a lot of tenacity. I'm going for, you know, funny one-shot builds here, so if I just don't get stun locked to death, it generally seems like a pretty good idea. Sterix Gauge also gives you damage, health, that helps, you know, your W go crazy, gives you that big shield so you can't get burst, right? So I think Star's Gauge third was definitely working out for me. Now, if you're having trouble like visualizing this in front of you, after I'm done telling this story, I will go and I'll just show the items in front of you in the client. But let me just, get through my story here, okay? So third item, Star's Gauge, I think goes, 1, 2, 3, boom, that's good. Fourth item, I was having a little bit of trouble because a lot of bruiser items are really bad. So what did I go with fourth item? I ended up going with a Stride Breaker, which maybe I shouldn't, but, I thought, maybe. At that point, I could have gone with a Dead Man's, but I just opted for Stride Breaker because I thought to myself, more damage, more attack speed, more health. This is going to be great for split pushing. It's just awkward to use that item. It's like a really awkward item, like stopping to activate Stride Breaker. It's just really, it doesn't really, like now that I'm in melee range, now I'm going to activate it to be in melee range even harder. Like it doesn't, that's not really how champions work, right? Like if you giga slow them, that helps stay in melee range, but a movement speed buff after I'm in melee doesn't tend to be the most useful, especially on champions like Sett that once they're in melee, they're generally going to try to kill you, right? But anyway, Stride Breaker fourth, and then my team kind of just took a 4v5 for absolutely no reason, and we ended up losing the game, which, I was very happy about losing the game randomly like that. I was very, because I wasn't doing good at all. So this is me being sarcastic. It was very frustrating because I could probably have killed any two members of their team at that point, and yet we took the fight anyway. We took the 4v5 and the game ended. But at any rate, I said to myself after the game, I said, you know what? I think I could actually recommend this Sett build because this actually worked out pretty decent. Now, will this work out into the future? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Who can say? I've been looking at the stats a lot, and I'm going to be blunt with you guys. I don't think Stride Breaker is very good at all. And at the end of the day, even if Stride Breaker has decent synergy with Sett, if it's a bad item, it's a bad item, right? Like, if a bad item is bad, then there's just not much you're going to be able to do about it, right? Like, it's just bad. So you can't. Like, even if a bad item is perfect synergy with you, it's still a bad item. So, the way I looked at it was we need to avoid the Stride Breaker as much as possible. I did end up going at fourth because I had no other choice at that point. Like, I had to get a health and damage item. And let's be honest, Black Cleaver is just not very good on Sett at all. Because, by the time you stack up Black Cleaver, they're going to be dead, and your W is true damage, which isn't going to be affected by it anyway. It's not going to affect your ult because you're going to ult at the beginning of a fight, right? So Black Cleaver, I said, that's out. I'm not going to go Black Cleaver at all. Okay, to help all of you who are more, visual learners to visualize the Sett build, if you want to call it that, okay? So first item, of course, is your Sundered Sky. I think that this works pretty good with Sett. I can't show you here what it does. Just this is the item, right? You punch someone, you get HP every 6 seconds, right? Good. Okay. Second item, you got your Titanic Hydra. Once again, you wave clear good. You 1-2 reset more. Just generally speaking, I think this is going to be Sett's at the very least. For the majority of the games, I think this will be like his core build, right? Now, third, this might shock many of you, but Star's Gauge. Why Star's Gauge? Well, because once again, damage and health, which helps skills your W for big true damage punch, okay? Also gives you tenacity, helps make you not able to be burst as much with the shield, right? So, once again, I think this will probably be your core 3 items, okay? So once you have these 3 items, what are you going to do? Okay. From here, I think it's a bit more questionable, the different options you have. You have Stride Breaker, that's the damage, health, attack speed. This helps you split push better. You do have the Black Cleaver. The Black Cleaver I'd be wary of. I would basically only go Black Cleaver on Sett in the very specific situation that you are split pushing against some sort of tank or something like that, and you have to, you want to make your Qs able to get through their health bar. Stride Breaker is okay. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it, right? So fourth item, between these two, maybe. I think your other option is a Dead Man's Plate. Now remember, Dead Man's Plate does give you 25% slow resist. So if you're fighting like a Rylai's champion on the split push, or if you're just being permacated in team fights, stuff like that, Dead Man's Plate is actually a decent option right now. So don't sleep on the Dead Man's Plate. Now it doesn't give you much health, and it definitely doesn't give you any damage. It doesn't give you any damage at all. So be wary a bit going Dead Man's Plate, but if you do need slow resist and you do need movement speed, Dead Man's Plate is a pretty decent option. Now your other option is if you're getting one shot by magic damage, you got the Canik Rookhorn. Why is the Canik Rookhorn an option? Huge magic resist, decent health, 400 health is pretty decent, and then that 20% of your total health as a magic shield will definitely help you not be one shot. But of course, do remember that the more defensively you build on Sett, remember, as you build tanky, your opponents will be leveling up, getting more health, getting more armor, right? They'll be leveling up, they'll be potentially building their own defensive items. So the less damage you build, the less you'll be able to kill people. And it's definitely it's a good choice in Sett to be able to kill people. But at either rate, I think these, for like 4th items, these are all pretty decent options right here. You can also, if you really need to, you can, I don't know why I'm looking at that one. You can also be looking at the Trinity Force. I don't think Trinity Force is that amazing, but it is more attack speed. So it is more health, more damage, more ability haste, more movement speed on your auto attacks if you need to stay in range. I don't really know why you would, because realistically, once Sett gets late game, he either kills someone or he doesn't. He doesn't really sit there in melee hitting people, right? But definitely the extra split pushing power can force the opponents to have to send someone to you much quicker, or else you're just going to punch out and end the game. Some people suggested Hullbreaker. I don't think Hullbreaker... It has a niche. If you want to make sure that a cannon minion can get under turret, because like you're split pushing against like, I don't know, a cannon or something, is just killing the minion wave. If you want to ensure that you can get something under turret so you can actually like split push because you're just being totally shut down. But other than that specific situation, I don't think it's very good. Like it's very, very niche item right now, Hullbreaker. You have to be in a world to ever build this item. You have to be in a world where you need the minion wave being pushed under turrets. So I would not recommend Hullbreaker other than extremely specific situations. Okay. Now, of course, you do have your Omen. Yeah, it exists. To be blunt, I think in the majority of situations, you're just going to be wanting to build damage on Sett. I think if you're ever in a situation as Sett where you're like trying to build defenses and you're trying to tank through a team fight, you're already losing, right? Because you don't really want to be tanking a Sett. You want to be killing people. You're eating damage so then you can kill them, right? You're taking damage to use your W. Now you don't want to be one shot. You don't want to die before you kill them, right? So there is a point to some defenses, but there's also your death stance. I think this item is so weak right now. It is basically not an option. To be blunt, I think Death Stance is so weak, it is basically not an option. So I would not recommend that at all. You also have your Force of Nature. Yeah, and some people have definitely shown that Force of Nature can be good in a pinch if you really need it. Force of Nature can work out. I will say this though, it is pretty consistent on Sett that the health and damage items pretty much remain his best choices on every build slot. Now there are some times where you can go to other things like a Canik Rookhorn. You can go to a Force of Nature. These do good, but that's kind of like movement, right? So Force of Nature definitely can work out. I would say I think I'm underestimating it. Force of Nature could definitely work out. In fact, it's probably better than Canik Rookhorn if you want me to be blunt. I think Force of Nature is better because Canik Rookhorn would stop you from building up your W. So maybe actually go with Force of Nature instead of Canik Rookhorn. I know. I probably shouldn't be like arguing with myself if I'm uploading a video. Okay. So far as Jack Show, that's a Jack no. Do not go Jack Show. I would not recommend this one whatsoever. You would have to be in such an oddly specific, very specific situation for Jack Show to be good. And to be blunt, you're never going to run into a world where you build it for 5 seconds, then you continue to fight. You're going to kill them or you're going to die. That's how Sett works, right? This isn't like an Olaf or a Darius where like you get poked down and then you keep in the fight, you get 5. No. You're killing them or you're dying. That's how Sett works, fundamentally, right? So, once again, to be blunt, these health damage options seem to overall be his best. Sundered Sky, Titanic Hydra, and Stoic Cage. I would go those in basically every game. After that, your 4th and 5th options. Dead Man's Plate seems to be doing decent. Force of Nature seems to be doing decent. Both of these, the movement options are good. Stridebreaker does okay. It's not bad, but it's like Black Cleaver seems to be underperforming a little bit on average. Black Cleaver is definitely weaker. I think people are maybe building it a bit too much. Black Cleaver is a niche option. It shouldn't be your go-to in every situation, right? Go Black Cleaver if you need to shred armor, if you're fighting like Scion or Ornn or something, right? Don't go Black Cleaver because you just want Black Cleaver. Like it's not that item anymore, right? Like it doesn't work like that, okay? So I would say that's pretty much generally. I would say, you know what, let me even remove Koenig Rückern. I would say these are generally going to be your options right now, right? And I'm looking right now and I don't see anything other than this that's really doing that amazing. Some people looked at Spirit-Sojin. I'm not saying Spirit-Sojin is like useless, but like I'm saying you'd have to be in an oddly specific situation for this item to be good, right? Like it would have to be oddly specific. Now, like if you hit like a 2-3 man ult and you stack it up, or you get like, you know, multiple hits on your E into a W, like enhancing your W damage by 12% could definitely be a good thing. And maybe Spirit-Sojin is better than I'm giving it credit. I mean, it is health, it is damage, it is ability haste, you know, it can enhance your W damage for big hits, right? But like you have to get your W, you have to get the 4 stacks on Spirit-Sojin before you use your W. So yeah, if you hit like minions, you hit multiple people with your E or ult, right? But like you can't just like run up and then W after you take damage, then flash it in, because like stacking up Spirit-Sojin after you deal damage, like great, what are you gonna, my abilities are now stronger now that I have no abilities, right? So I would say Spirit-Sojin way more niche than the other health damage options, probably more niche even than Black Cleaver. But yeah, it's definitely an option here. But I would say, yeah, this, you know, let me cut myself off here because I'm kind of I've kind of probably been droning on for like 10 minutes here, but I would say these are what I would recommend on Sett. This is how we're going to make them viable in season 14, at least until maybe they buff some other bruiser options. Okay, so thank you all for being here, thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.